afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. We hope you're enjoying the series so far, The AgriFood Funding Landscape, A Recipe for Success. My name's Michelle Frost and I'm the Lab Manager for the Eagle Lab Farm in Lincoln. So following on from our previous sessions, we're now looking at the valuable business support available from Innovate UK EDGE. So this session is aptly named #AgriFunding Bid Success. So in these three short on-demand sessions, we're joined by Chris Ellis, who's the Senior Innovation and Growth Specialist and Scale-Up Director. Here he'll tell us about the support available when applying for grant funding and what to expect throughout the process, including what success looks like, knocking down hurdles, post-application business support tools, and reaching the finishing line and validating results. As with all of our events, I need to read a short mandatory disclaimer for you. We've asked Chris from Innovate UK EDGE to join us today to provide his professional views on what support Innovate UK EDGE can give to evolving businesses. The topics discussed are an overview of options for you to think about how to help with your independent research and business decisions. They're not intended as recommendations or advice. Remember as well that your business has its own individual circumstances. The statements and views expressed may not be applicable or suitable for your business. So without further ado, welcome, Chris. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to us firstly about bid success, knocking down hurdles, post-application business support tools.
Thank you, Michelle. So now we're just going to talk a little bit about post-application success, knocking down hurdles. So you've got the money and you're up and running with the development work, the further R&D, the proof of concept work that you've said that you were going to execute against when you made your bid submission. So this is going to put you into the world of working with multidisciplinary teams, potentially working in collaboration with other organizations, particularly if you submitted a collaborative bid in consortia with 2 or 3 other organizations, which is quite common when you're bidding for European money. And they could be academic institutions, research facilities such as the various catapult centers, or even the agri-tech facility that you have up in Lincoln. So these special seats of learning almost, which act as a bridge point between private sector, public sector to advance knowledge transfer. You might be in a development program with an organization like that. So one of the critical things you need to be very mindful of when you are into this stage of development is the IP that you're generating. There are terms that you need to get familiar with, such as background IP and foreground IP. Background IP is the established IP that you have already in your possession because you've probably created it. You're working in partnership with somebody and you're developing foreground IP where there's value being added in the IP estate, if you like, or the portfolio, potentially the portfolio of patents that you're creating is building. The commercial agreements that have to be in place before you get going with any of that are very important. So as well as being very excited about the fact that you've got money to take you on the next stage of your R&D, you need to be thinking about protecting what you are creating, particularly in IP terms. And I can't stress that enough. Do not enter into loose agreements that are not documented with contract class documentation signed with legal coverage for all parties involved. So that's important. So you've got more people involved probably, you've got maybe more technology involved, and you've got more process involved. So you're having to grow up a little bit from being maybe a lab-based, slightly, inventor, slightly, unprofessional. That's not being too unkind. You're going to have to start working in a very organized way, because your monitoring officer is going to be expecting to see evidence of you executing against a project plan that you said you were going to do. And that's important because you don't get the money unless you're executing against the project plan. So It's a way of opening your eyes more to what you're trying to do, working towards some commercial end games, although you might still be in some stepping stone territory before you're actually starting to show what you're creating to the outside world. Still might be some R&D work to do before you have to worry about some go-to-market strategies. But it's probably the time where you're starting to wrap research and findings and validation around what it is you're creating. And so yeah, it's a process of growing up, and it's a process of aligning resource with the tasks in hand against the money that you said you would spend. You need to show that you are spending it, because that's what it's for. It's not to sit in a bank account and get interest, if there is such a thing anywhere at the minute. So expect to conduct yourself in an organized professional way, and to have access to some support infrastructure such as the knowledge transfer network and the catapult centres perhaps that Innovate UK owns and runs, and even if appropriate, you might go looking for an associate through the knowledge transfer partnership, where you could find a postdoc student that you could bring in to start helping you with on some projects. That's a completely different subject altogether, and maybe the subject of another mini presentation. But for now, in terms of thinking about knocking down hurdles, it's your ability to demonstrate that you can execute against a project plan, spend the money wisely, and make sure you're hitting those stage gate tasks and payment phases. So I think it's about getting into your stride. So hopefully you're in your stride, but if not, as I say, find some support from the Innovate UK EDGE advisors closest to you. Hope that's useful. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you, Chris. That was a really interesting insight into how to knock down some hurdles. So thank you, everybody, for listening and joining the event today. Now, I'm sure people have been scribbling down notes and are now deep in thought of how they can put this into practice. So you may be interested to learn that all of the events we run are available to watch back at your leisure on our YouTube channel. So next up in our on-demand sessions, Chris will be sharing his thoughts around reaching the finishing line and validating the results. The most important thing we can do is to listen to the audience. As such, we'd really value taking just a couple of minutes to think about what you enjoyed, what you'd like to see more of. And from this, we can ensure to deliver events and topics that are relevant and key to driving your businesses forward. So please do contact us at agritech-labs@barclays.com. We're here to listen. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you next time.